Hello, everyone. How are you? Well, I hope. Guess what we're going to talk about today? Take a minute. Yes, I am a closet Muppet fan, as I believe many people actually are in the world. I wanted to share this with you, but before we get to this, I think it's important that we just do a brief backstory of the Muppets and Jim Henson himself. Now, Jim was born in 1936 and he died in 1990, which would have made him about 53 years old, which, the guy sitting here is chasing 55, 53 seems kind of young, so that's sort of sad. But at any rate, Jim Henson, 1936, he passed away 1990. From what I understand, as a kid, he always was fascinated with marionettes and puppets, etc., etc. Some have even said that the term Muppet is a variant of marionettes and puppeteering, but Mr. Henson has denied that. Doesn't matter, it's fine. So anyway, Mr. Henson goes to college, University of Maryland, and he meets this lady named Jane Nebel, and they end up creating this show, I think, for the college local television channels in Maryland and Washington, D.C., called Sam and Friends, and it was quite popular. And Jim and Jane ultimately get married a few years later. But the show is pretty popular, and he's using puppets, etc., etc. And this popularity leads to a contract, oddly enough, with Wilkins Coffee. And it's really the first legitimate thing I think Jim Henson and Jane Nebel did. And with the commercials themselves feature, they're like 10 or 15 second spots, but they feature two characters, Wilkins, Will, and Wontkins, Won't. And the premise in that brief commercial is Wilkins is trying to get Wokins to drink the coffee. Will you drink it? Won't you drink it? Right? Well, it proves hugely successful. Here, take a look. Here's the two puppets. I believe this is a picture from the Smithsonian. Here, take a look. Right, and you can even see in Wilkins the beginnings, at least I can, of Kermit the Frog, right? Kermit the Frog here. You can kind of see that, and from what I understand, Jim actually made that puppet out of his mother's coat. Now, presumably she wasn't wearing it at the time, but that's kind of where they start. Well, these Wilkins coffee ads are incredibly popular. In fact, take a look. Here's, a minute and a half of these 10-second commercials.
Put your money in here and you get a cup of Wilkins coffee. I don't want any. Then push that button. How about a cup of Wilkins? With this camera, I shoot pictures of people who don't drink Wilkins coffee. I'm ready. Shoot. Anybody else? You'll like this new car. Yeah? It's got a built-in maker for Wilkins instant coffee. Who needs it? Well, you can't sell them all. Got your parachute? I forgot it. How about the Wilkins coffee? I forgot that too. You'll never forget this. Any last requests, like for a cup of Wilkins coffee? No. You don't drink Wilkins? No. How shocking. Want a cup of Wilkins coffee? What'll Mr. Wilkins do if I don't? Oh, he'll probably put his foot down.
How incredible are those? I don't know if they'd ever air on TV today, if you could get away with that. I'd like to say so, but people are so sensitive. Hard to say. But anyway, so Wilkins and Wokins, they prove so terribly popular, they actually end up pimping other coffee, Community Coffee, Nash, Red Diamond, and some others. And the Wilkins and Wokins characters, actually in 1958, because those ads ran, the Wilkins Coffee and the others ran from 57 to 61, definitely was Wilkins, and I'm going to say Diamond and the others kind of continued on, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, in 1958, they actually sold 25,000 of those Wilkin and Wilkin dolls for $1 a piece. And that money, Jim and Jane ultimately were able to create Muppets Inc. in 1958. That's just amazing. Now, you know, we're heading into the early 60s, and Henson and his team appear on shows, you know, the Ed Sullivan Show, Jimmy Dean Show, all those sort of variety shows, little segments with the Muppets, etc., etc. And as we drift through the 60s, we're getting closer to 68, 69, and Jim Henson becomes instrumental in the development of some of the characters for Sesame Street. And all of us, I honestly don't know if Sesame Street is still in the air. It's a crime if it's not. But all of us of a certain age grew up watching Sesame Street, Cookie Monster. This is long before Elmo, Count Dracula, or Count Dr. Calcula. What was his name? Oh boy. Too much of this. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sesame Street. And actually in 1975, the Muppets make their first appearance on Saturday Night Live, the inaugural season, in a segment or two. And other than Sesame Street as they're developing it, the Muppets are, I don't want to say racy, but their intent is certainly not for kids. Obviously, you're on SNL. And at the same time, in 1975, ABC asked for a couple of pilots for what ultimately has become the Muppet Show. And the first one was the Muppet Show, the Muppets Valentine's Day Show or something like that, and it had Mia Farrow in it. And it was basically a show where some cat was trying to figure out what love is, and the Muppets have to have them discover or some nonsense. And the second pilot or second portion of the pilot was the Muppet Show Sex and Violence, and that basically had Dr. Teeth, the band leader, putting on pageants that sort of represent the 7 deadly sins. Now they aired and they had mixed reviews, and I think in part because probably edging more towards adult, less towards kids. A little bit of tweaking, and in 1976, ABC introduces us to the Muppet Show that you and I know today, the Muppet Show. It ran from 76 to 81. And in that time, it was nominated for 21 Emmys, and it won 4. One even for Best Variety Show, which is amazing. And variety shows were quite popular through the 60s and 70s. And when Henson was on the Ed Sullivan Show and things like that, he was usually running around with his main characters, Kermit the Frog, Ralph the Dog, etc., etc. But anyway, the Muppet Show comes out in 1976. Here, take a look. Here's that title card that we're all familiar with. Go ahead. Right? So the Muppet Show airs, incredibly popular with both adults and kids, because the humor is just adult enough to get Dad to laugh while he's sitting there in his misery, and the kids are just enjoying the puppet. Me enjoying the puppeteering. Everybody loves Animal. Everybody loved Benson Honeydew, Beaker, Swedish. We'll get to that in a second. But anyway, these of course lead to movies. So you've got the first one, the Muppet movie, which I think came out in 78 or 79. The Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, Muppets Christmas Carol, Muppets Treasure Island. A number of others, and most recently there's been a resurgence. Well, here, take a look. This is Muppets Most Wanted and Muppets Haunted Mansion. Both fantastic, a lot of fun. And I'm only naming a few of the movies. They've done countless parodies. They seem to be intimately popular. One of my favorite parts of the Muppet Show was Pigs in Space. Remember Pigs in Space? I gotta dig up and see if I've got any Pigs in Space crap lying around. But anyway, and keep in mind, this entire time, ABC is owned by Disney. In about 1980, Disney gets more and more involved. And long story short, Disney ultimately purchases Muppets Inc. and they integrated into the Disney family. And there was Muppets 3D, Muppets this or that at all the various parks. One iteration or another, and sometimes it's going well and sometimes it's going down. Right now it seems to be on a downhill trend in Walt Disney World, but none of that is here or there. So one of the kind of the interesting things that Jim did is most puppet shows were always on that proscenium arch. You know, remember like Sound of Music with the puppeteers, a doe, a deer, a female, you know, they've got the puppets doing their thing, and it was always an arch. One of the things that Jim and company did is they kept it in a square, which worked great for television. It doesn't sound that revolutionary, but at the time it very much was. Anyway, that sort of leads me to this. Now, a few years back, Lego put out 12 of these characters in little bags. Here, take a look. This is where the bags that you would buy. They were mystery, so you had to buy. The odds of you getting all 12, you had to really know what you were doing, or you had to spend a lot of dough to get the 12 figures. But here, take a look. Here's the bag. I don't remember when they came out, but I'll put it up on the screen here when I edit it. But as you can see, I have all 12, and the amazing thing is, I just sort of kept them in the bags until one day I discovered on Etsy, of all places, this cat called Lego Nerd, and I need to show you his right here. Give him his proper. Lego Nerd, handcrafted. His website is www.lgonrd.com. Lego Nerd, hats off to you. I saw this and I could not have it because I thought it was a perfect display for my little Lego characters. I have no idea where I'm going to put it. I don't understand why we got Janice and not Dr. Teeth, but what are you going to do? But anyway, I kind of wanted to share this because I really thought this was just awesome. And again, Mr. Lego Nerd, what he did, you can tell he loves the Muppets as well. And just in case you don't know, so we'll get this a little closer for you. You know, in order, the top, we've got Animal, Janice, Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, of course, Bunsen Honeydew, one of my most favorite, Beaker, everybody loves Beaker, you know, Beaker. And then our lower shelf, we've got Fozzie Bear, Gonzo, Ralph the dog, the Swedish Chef, of course, and then the two cats that used to sit up in the balcony and bitch about stuff, Statler and Waldorf. And I don't know, I just thought that was super cool. I have no idea where I'm putting this because I am officially out of room for everything, but how could you not? So anybody who is a fan of the Muppets, go to Lego Nerd. Now, finding the Lego, I'm sure they have them on eBay. You can go to eBay and probably, I don't know what they would cost. They weren't but a few dollars. Whenever I don't know, $4.99, $3.99, something like that for each of these little Lego guys. You keep shit long enough, and before you know it, they become valuable. Or a really cool guy puts something like this together for a display. Now, he has two. I chose one that sits on a counter. He also has one where this can actually hang on the wall. In a retrospect, that's probably what I should have chosen, but I didn't. Oh well. But how awesome is this, right? So if you're interested in the Muppets, go. There's plenty of history. Go look some of it up. And then I highly recommend, watch the Haunted Mansion Muppets. Some of the older ones, obviously a little dated, but if you watch these modern ones, there's a lot of people, you've all seen them. Tina Fey is in Muppets Most Wanted. How popular, she's incredibly popular. There's so many people would go and have a good time on the show, as well as the Muppet Show when they were in the 70s. And I'm starting to babble because too much of too much of this stuff. But anyway, in this world, when you can be anything you want, you be kind, you be humble, you be forgiving. And again, a special shout out to Lego Nerd, www.legonerd.com. I'll put it in the comments. I just thought this was awesome and wanted to share with you guys. And, who doesn't like the Muppets? And for you Star Wars dorks, Frank Oz was a puppeteer for Jim Henson. So Yoda is basically a Muppet. There you go. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good night. Talk to you later. Bye.